Hey guys, it's Dude's Corner here. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to solve the Rubik's Cube. Now some of you may already know that I did post a tutorial a little while back on how to solve the 3x3 Rubik's Cube. Well, I am reposting this tutorial because that tutorial was really bad quality. It just wasn't coming out that well and didn't explain everything that well. So I'm reposting this tutorial to help you guys, especially those new beginners, to be able to understand how the Rubik's Cube works. Now, the first thing that I should point out is what kind of cube are you using? Mainly what I mean is what kind of color scheme do you have? Like, where are all the different colors? If white is opposite of yellow and blue is opposite of green and orange is opposite of red, then that means your puzzle is the exact same color scheme as my cube. Some of you may have like blue opposite of white, which is fine. Or some of you may have picture cubes. If you have a picture cube, this may be a little bit harder for you to figure out how to solve the Rubik's Cube, because I'm going to be really focusing on these type of cubes, how you just have the regular colors. This will be a lot easier to work with, so I'd recommend, if you have a cube like this, I would recommend using it. Now, some of you beginners may have your cube scrambled and you're like, well, how do I know what colors my sides are on? Well, there's an easy way to figure that out. You see, for a Rubik's Cube, the centers never move. So let's say I just do everything I can to get these centers to move around. No matter what I do, white will always be opposite of yellow, blue will always be opposite of green, and orange will be always opposite of red on this specific cube. So just look at the centerpiece and determine where all the colors are. This is one of the key rules for solving the Rubik's Cube, is that the centers never move. Using this technique, you can figure out where all the colors need to go, and especially for solving each case. Now, how do we solve the cube? I'm sure lots of you have thought, well, I can only solve two sides, or I can only get this far on the Rubik's Cube. Well, the way we're going to be solving it is we're going to be solving it by layer. So this is layer 1. This is layer 2, and this is layer 3. So 3 parts to solve, and I'll do as best as I can with explaining how this will all work. And then something else I should mention is some people do know this, other people don't, so I'll just go ahead and quickly mention it, is that the colors on the pieces can't switch. So look at the piece, don't look at the color. This is a very common mistake that lots of newer people will make. So we look, and at this corner, it has orange, green, and yellow. There's no other piece on this puzzle that is a corner that has orange, green, and yellow on it. So keep that in mind when solving a cube, that there will be no piece that has all of those exact colors. See, this piece has red, green, and yellow, but not orange. So make sure you're finding the right piece for where it belongs. One helpful other thing to keep in mind is using this tip. We know that this piece has to go here because that's where yellow, green, and orange for all their centers line up to. So this also can be helpful. Now there are 8 corners and 12 edges and 6 centers. And for each layer we'll be using, so for layer 1 we'll use 4 corners, 4 edges, and 1 center. Layer 2 will use 4 edges and 4 centers, and layer 3 will be the same as the first layer, 4 corners, 4 edges, and 1 center. Now, what about how we will solve this? Now, I'm sure even some of you newer people know the fact that there are algorithms involved when solving the Rubik's Cube. And the algorithms are considered to be the hardest part in learning to solve the Rubik's Cube. Not necessarily memorizing when to use the algorithms, but memorizing how to use the algorithms in the first place. Because when executing certain algorithms, you will likely accidentally scramble up the cube, and that is okay. Because when I started solving the cube, it took me quite a few hours before I actually managed to just solve it, yet alone having to memorize it took way longer. So don't feel bad if you scramble it up, because solving the cube will require a lot of practice. Now, how are we going to hold the cube? Well, we're always going to be holding it in front, but it's always going to be straight, so that if I have red in front, I'll have green on the right, blue on the left, yellow on the top, white on the bottom, and orange on the back. But if I hold it that green's now facing me, yellow's now on top, and orange is on the right. You see the colors change depending on how you hold the cube, on what will be on your right side and what will be on your left side. Now, when solving the cube, I'll walk through where and how you want to hold the cube, so don't worry about that. Mostly focus on what side is where. So for instance, when I'm holding green, orange is then on my right, and then red is on my left. So, but instead of referring to these sides as right, left, top, bottom, front, it's just way too harder for me to explain, especially with algorithms. So instead, I'm going to be using letters, and this, as hard as this may sound, is not that hard eventually to follow along. So the right side I will refer as the R side. The left side I will refer to as the L side. The top side I will refer to the U side, as in the up side. The front side I will refer to the F side. The bottom side I will refer to D, the D side, which is for down. And then the back side I will refer to B. So now you know what I'll be using for calling each side. But how about when it comes to turning? So if I say turn R, then that means turn the right side. If I say turn R twice, or R2, then that means turn the right side twice. If I say turn U twice, or U2, then that means turn the top twice. If I say turn L2, that means turn the left side twice. I won't ever say 3 or 4. It's either just going to be once or twice. But how about when it comes to turning it back? So what direction? Like, say if I just say to turn the right side, how do you know to turn it this way or that way? Well, as hard as this may be to keep up with, I'm going to be referring to it always going clockwise. So always going to the right, like this, clockwise. Now, for this, so that means when I say turn the R, then that means turn the right side clockwise. If I want you to turn it counterclockwise, the difference will be listed right up there. So you can notice that I have one little line difference, and then that means turn it counterclockwise. And I'll even walk through the steps, each algorithm slowly, that way you guys can be able to keep up with how all this will be done. So don't worry about that, just make sure that you keep up with which is considered counterclockwise and which is clockwise. Now, just to make it easier on my part for explaining, if I say R, then that means clockwise, and if I say R prime, that means counterclockwise on the right side. So this is R, and that is R prime. And then, of course, the same works for the left side. This would be L, and then this would be L prime. This would be U, this would be U prime, this would be F, F prime, this would be D, this would be D prime, this would be B, and that would be B prime. So those are all the different move sets, and now we know how the letters work. But what are the algorithms? Well, there are only 2 algorithms that we will need to solve this Rubik's Cube. And as surprising as that may sound, that is a very, very small amount of algorithms compared to some other methods. The algorithms are going to look like this. So these are both the algorithms, and this is what they will look like on the cube. R, U, R prime, U prime. And this is considered as the right algorithm. If we perform this algorithm 6 times, the cube will actually solve itself. Now, the cube has to already be in its solve state for this to work. So I did have it solved, and I've just performed it once. Now if I perform it again, up to 5 more times, because I already performed it once, you will see that the cube just solved itself. So that algorithm, if we perform it 6 times, the cube will solve itself, and the next algorithm also will be will work the same way. And the algorithm is L prime, U prime, L, U. And if we perform this algorithm 6 times, the cube will also solve itself. Okay, so now we know our 2 algorithms, and we know a bit more on how the structure works. We are pretty much good to go. So let's go ahead and scramble this cube up, and then let's start the solve. Okay, so we have to solve 1 layer first. And then to do that, that means we need to get 4 edges, 4 corners, and 1 center. Now, what color should we do first? Now, I personally always do white first, and I would recommend if you do white first as well, only because that way you can kind of follow along a little easier, the same way that I'm doing these moves. So we have 4 white edges, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 4 white corners, 1, 2, 3, and 4, I think. Yeah. So then what we should do first is we're going to do a step called the daisy case. Now the daisy, or sometimes this step also known as the tulip, is when we get these white edges up onto yellow center. Now this step you really will kind of have to figure out on your own. It's really going to be the only step that you kind of have to figure out and learn on your own. I'll do a few examples. But what we want to do is get this edge up into here and then this edge up in here. We already have 2. And how we will get this edge in is when you might think, oh, okay, so we could just rotate it up, but that knocks one of these edges out. So instead, we can rotate this layer out of the way and then rotate this piece up. And then we also have this one here. And how will we get this one up? Well, let's go ahead and rotate it over so that it's underneath its slot. So that it needs to go up into here, and so we can rotate it. If we rotate it twice, the white sticker is not up. If you have this case happen, you're going to rotate it back once, then you're going to turn the top so that this open slot is into here. That way we can bring this up. If this is way too complicated for you to understand, that is perfectly okay. This step is something you can easily figure out on your own. Just kind of like, it'll probably take like 10 minutes. Just sit down, keep working at it. You'll get it. It's not that bad. And it won't take 10 minutes every time. It'll take 10 minutes for you to just figure out and understand how it will work. Now the next step is getting these white edges onto white center. Now, because my cube has yellow opposite of white, we just need to go ahead and rotate them onto here. But we want to line up these edges with their centers. Because the centers never move, we want the colors to be matching, because that's how we get the cube to be solved. So we have this white and orange edge here, and we want to go ahead and line it up with its center. Now this is a blue center, so these are not matching. So let's go ahead and rotate. We have red, so that's not matching. This is green, so still not matching. And then here's orange. So this edge is lined up, and we're going to rotate this edge down twice. And as you can see, it is on white side, and it's lined up with both its centers. And then we have this blue one. Let's go ahead and rotate it to find where its center is. This is orange, so it's not the right spot. This is blue. Okay, so it needs to go into here. And we're going to go ahead and rotate it twice. Make sure you're doing the white edges that you're rotating down. And then it's lined up with both its centers. And we have this green one. Let's go ahead and find its center. Okay, so right here it is. And then we're going to go ahead and rotate this twice. And then it's lined up, matching with its centers. And this red one's already lined up, so let's go ahead and rotate that twice. And as you can see, we have created a white cross on, and all the edges are lined up with their centers. Now, I did manage to get this corner in here. That was kind of a coincidence. That's also not where even the corner belongs, so don't worry about that corner being in there. Now let's go ahead and get the corners in their proper spots, which the white corners up into the white layer. And we have one here. Now there are 3 different cases how we will be inserting these corners. Now the easiest way to get them up is it depends on where the white piece is. So we have can have white here, here, or here. So it could be facing us, on the right, or on the bottom. Now this one is facing us. If it's facing us, you're going to turn the bottom out of the way, bring the right side down, and then you're going to bring the bottom back over here, then bring the right side back up. And the algorithm for the white sticker being here would be that right up there. If you guys want the algorithm, if you don't want it, that's fine. You can always just learn intuitively the way I'm teaching you now. Then we have this one here. Now this one has the white sticker on the bottom. Now we figured out how to do the white sticker facing us. To do the bottom part, you're going to turn the right side down, turn the bottom twice, and then bring the right side back up. And when we bring it back over here, we actually notice we have the white sticker on our right side this time. So whenever it's on the bottom, we perform that algorithm to get it to the right side. And then when it's on the right side, to solve this, we would turn the right side down, turn the bottom, and then bring the right side back up. And make sure you turn the bottom so that the corner comes into place. And as you can see, now we have 2 corners done. And we also have this one here. Now we're going to make sure we line it underneath its slot, which is right up here. And this time it's facing us. And to do this, we would do the same case as we did before by turning this out of the way, bringing the right side down, bringing it up into place, and then bringing that back up. And then the last corner sticker, which is here, is on the bottom, and it's underneath its slot. So because it's on the bottom, we're going to do what we did before by bringing the right side down, turning the bottom twice, bringing the right side back up, bringing it back underneath its slot, and then it's on the right side. And to solve it, if it's on the right, we bring the right side down, turn the bottom so it's into place, and then bring the right side back up. And as you can see, we have completed the first layer. Now there are some times where you have 2 remaining pieces, the last 2 that you need, that are in the last layer but not correctly twisted or not in the right spots. If you have this, to get one of these corners out, you would bring the right side down, turn the bottom so that this corner comes out of the way, and then bring the right side back up. Then this corner we would line up underneath its slot, and we would look at what case we have. Now this one, it's on the bottom. If it's on the bottom, we would do as we would before by bringing the right side down, turning the bottom twice, bring the right side back up, and then we are going to solve this case when we realign it underneath its slot. And this time it's on the right. And to do it on the right, we would bring the right side down, bring it into place, and then bring the right side back up. And then we have this last one here, and it's also on the bottom. So we're going to do as we did before by bringing the right side down, turning the bottom twice, bringing the right side up, and then realigning underneath its slot. And then it's on the right, so then bring it down, right side down, bring it into place, and then bring it back up. And then the first layer is solved. Now to solve the second layer, which is our next step, we have to get all 4 of these edges in. This is actually considered to be the easiest step for solving the cube. Now, we have to always from now on hold yellow on top. You can be facing green, orange, blue, red, it doesn't matter, just hold yellow on top. Now this, we have to find 4 edges that don't have yellow or white, and this edge does not have yellow right here. This one has green and orange. So where should we put this, and how do we get it in here? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to match it up with its front piece, front sticker or piece with its matching center. So this is green when yellow is on top. So we have to line it up where green is, and make sure you're only turning the top to line it up. And then the slot where it needs to go is on the right side. To insert this to the right, we would perform this move sequence. And this symbol, real quick, I forgot to mention this, probably should mention this. This symbol means rotate to the right, and this one means rotate to the left. So, should have mentioned that at the beginning. Sorry. My bad, I forgot. There's just a lot involved for the Rubik's Cube, but yeah, this means to the right, that means to the left. And we're inserting this to the right. So, this algorithm would look like this. So, we would perform U, right algorithm, so R, U, R prime, U prime. And we're going to turn face and then we to the right, and then we would perform left algorithm. L prime, U prime, L, U. And as we can see, this got our edge in. So let's go ahead and find our next piece. We have this one right here. We have this red and blue one. So we are going to go ahead and line up with its center, making sure yellow is on top and only turning the top side. And it lines up right here. Now this time, instead of this piece inserting into the right, it needs to go to the left. Now to insert this piece to the left, this algorithm would look like this. U prime, left algorithm, L prime, U prime, L, U. Turn to the left, R, right algorithm, R, U, R prime, U prime. And that got the edge in. Now let's go ahead and find our next edge, and we have one right here. This is blue and orange, and we're going to match it with its center, which is blue. And this piece is going into the left. Now to insert this, we would do the same case as we did before for inserting into the left, which is U prime, left algorithm, L prime, U prime, L, U. Turn to the left, right algorithm, R, U, R prime, U prime. And then it's in. Now, the last edge is in its slot. Now this can happen sometimes, how the last edge that you need is not on top and it's in the slot. To get this out, we have to put one of these other yellow edges into here. So let's say we want to put this blue-yellow edge into here. That way this edge can come out. And that means we would be inserting into the right. And then that algorithm would be U, right algorithm, R, U, R prime, U prime, turn face, left algorithm, L prime, U prime, L, U. And then we're just going to line this up with its matching center. And this is red, and the red and green, making sure yellow's on top. And it matches up right here. And this is inserting into the right. So to do this, we would do U, right algorithm, R, U, R prime, U prime. Turn to the right, left algorithm, L prime, U prime, L, U. And that solved it. Now, the next case is getting a yellow cross on top. Now, how we will do this is not too hard. We just have to orientate these yellow pieces so that they're on top. Now, the pieces don't have to be lined up with their centers as long as if all yellow is on top. And now, there are 4 different cases you can have. You can have a line, a dot, an angle, or a cross. Now, I have the line. To do the line case, you're going to turn the front, holding it in this position. It can also be in this. It doesn't matter as long as if it's along this line and not this line. And you're going to turn the front. You're going to do the right algorithm. So R, U, R prime, U prime. And you're going to turn the front back. As you can see, that solved all our edges. This did solve 2 corners, but don't worry about that. That's just an extra thing that we got. Really, we solved this cross here. We got all the edges. Now, if you have the angle, this case is going to be very similar to the line. You're going to hold it in this exact position here. So not like this, not like this, not like this, but like this. So this is the angle. And you're going to turn the front 2 layers. So the lowercase f up there, that just means turn the front 2 layers. It's the only time we'll need the lowercase letter, but you're going to turn the front 2 layers. You're going to perform the right algorithm, so R, U, R prime, U prime, and turn the front 2 layers back. And then that got us the cross. Now the last case that you can have is the dot. And this one's considered the hardest of the 4, but it's not too bad. The way you're going to solve this is you're going to hold it from any side as long as if yellow's on top. And you're going to perform the line algorithm. So F, right algorithm, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. And then we have the angle. So we're going to then solve this case. Make sure you're holding it in the correct position. And that's turning the front 2 layers. And then performing right algorithm R, U, R prime, U prime. And turn the front 2 layers back. And then we have got solved the cross. Now the next thing that we need to do is position all the corners where they belong. So not having them solved, but putting them where they belong. So as we can see here, this corner belongs here, but it is just not correctly twisted because orange, blue, and yellow all belong here. Now no other corner is where they belong or correctly twisted. So we're going to keep turning the top and still none. Now if we hold it here, this corner belongs here, yellow, green, and orange, just not correctly twisted. And still none of the other ones do. Now if we turn it again, this corner does belong here and is correctly twisted. This corner does belong here but not correctly twisted. These two do not belong here. So what you're looking for is to either find 2 that do belong where they need to go, just not correctly twisted, or can be correctly twisted, and need to swap 2. Now they can either be diagonal, across, or you can even have them all already solved. If you need to swap across, you're going to hold both those 2 on your right side, and you're going to perform the right algorithm 3 times. So right algorithm once, twice, 3 times. And you turn to the right, and then you can perform the left algorithm 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. And you may need to rearrange the top layer, the yellows layer, and just to get all the corners back to their places. But as you can see, all these corners are where they belong, just not all correctly twisted. Now this next case that I want to show you is when you have to swap diagonally. So if we turn the top where this one is where it belongs, just not correctly twisted, and this one is where it belongs, just not correctly twisted, these 2 need to swap. However, if we turn the top twice, this is where it belongs, not correctly twisted, and this is where it belongs, not correctly twisted, and then these 2 need to swap. To solve this, we just need to have 2 already where they belong, and we will be swapping these 2, and then we will be swapping these 2. So we have to swap across how we did before twice. So let's go ahead and swap these 2 by performing the right algorithm 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to turn to the right, and then we're going to perform the left algorithm 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then once again, we will have to rearrange the top to find where all of our solved pieces are. And okay, so we have these 2 where they belong, just not correctly twisted. And then these 2 need to swap. And then we're going to hold it so that they're on our right. And then we're going to perform the right algorithm 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to turn face, and we're going to perform the left algorithm 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And once again, you will have to rearrange the top, but as you see, all the corners are where they belong and correctly twisted. The next step is orientating all these corners. Now you could have 2, you could have 3, you could have 4, or you could have none. If you have none, then all of the yellow should be on top. But if you have 2, which I have here, I will show you how we will solve it, and then I'll also do 3 and 4. Now what you're going to do is you're going to change the way you're holding the cube so that white is on top now. And you're going to have one of these unsolved corners on the bottom right side. Now, you're always going to be held. Now, you can turn this layer freely, and you can see that that's not going to mess up anything on these 2 layers that we've already solved, so don't worry about that. Now, you might remember I said that when you perform the right algorithm 6 times, the cube will solve itself. Well, now we're going to make use of that. So we're going to hold it so that once again that this is on the bottom right side, and perform the right algorithm until this corner has the yellow piece on the bottom. So just keep an eye on this yellow piece. So just going to keep performing this right algorithm And make sure you do that last U move, but as you can see, this yellow piece is on the bottom. And then what we're gonna do is, despite the fact this all looks scrambled, it's okay. We're gonna rotate so that this yellow corner is now underneath the slot here. And we're gonna continue doing the right algorithm again until the yellow piece is on the bottom. As you can see, it is on the bottom and all of yellow is solved. Now, what if you have 3 corners that need to swap? Well, it will all still work the same way. You're going to hold one on the bottom right side, and you're going to continue doing the right algorithm until the cube solves the corner so that the yellow is on the bottom side. Make sure white is on top, and don't forget your last U move after performing this algorithm. So continue doing the right algorithm. And then don't forget that last U move. I'm going to rotate the bottom again. Do the right algorithm. As you can see, that solved that corner. And then we're going to rotate the bottom again so that this corner is underneath. Keep doing the right algorithm. As you can see, that solved all yellow on top, and it kept all of our last 2 layers solved. Now, if you have to do 4 corners, that's still going to work the exact same way. So you're going to hold one on the bottom right with white on top. And generally when there's 4 corners, you may have to end up performing the right algorithm like 12 times. So this may get a little bit annoying having to perform the right algorithm so many times, but just kind of get used to, the way it works and you'll be good. So bottom right, white on top, and then just keep performing the right algorithm. And that one is solved. Turn the bottom, so this is our next one. That one is solved, and we're going to go ahead and bring the next one over. That one is solved, and we're going to bring this next one over. As you can see, that got all yellow on top, and it kept our last first 2 layers already solved. So that is how you would do that's how you would solve yellow's corners. Now the last step to solve the cube is putting all these edges where they belong. Now there are 2 cases you can have, either having another side already done, or no other sides already done. So like all 4 of these edges need to be positioned. Now there's a few ways that you can do this. Now if you have one side already done, you're going to face from that side, and you're going to perform the right algorithm, making sure that yellow is on top. The left algorithm. You're going to perform the right algorithm 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to perform the left algorithm 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, as we could see, it looked like it did absolutely nothing, but it actually didn't. It actually swapped these edges in a different way. If it didn't do anything for you, that's fine. You're just going to perform the same thing again. I know this can get very annoying, but it's the last step for solving the cube. And so you're just going to do the exact same thing again. So you're going to do right algorithm, left algorithm, right algorithm 5 times. And then left algorithm 5 times. And as you can see, it solves the cube. Now, if you have no side already solved, you're going to do what you did before, except holding on any side. So right algorithm, left algorithm, right algorithm 5 times. Left algorithm 5 times. And as you can see, that's solved blue side. So we're going to face now from that, making sure yellow's on top. We're going to perform the same case again. So right algorithm, left algorithm, right algorithm 5 times. Left algorithm 5 times. And as you can see, that solved the cube. And that is all you need to know how to solve the Rubik's Cube. Now, some of you may still be struggling. If you are, don't worry. You just may take practice. You may even just need to take a break. I took several breaks, and it definitely did help me. Definitely take notes. It's another thing I would recommend. And if you have questions, feel free to ask them down in the comment section. I know me and a lot of other people will be willing to help you solve the cube, because I'm sure there's definitely going to be times where you get stuck. So don't feel bad if you're having trouble, because I had trouble learning the first time I tried solving this. So feel free to ask as many questions as you want, and I will get back to you. Don't worry. But anyway, yeah, if you guys want to see any other future things about Rubik's Cubes, like if you want to learn to get faster, if you want to learn any other things, or even solve like bigger cubes, like a 4x4 even, I have all kinds of tutorials like that on my YouTube channel, so go feel free to check that out. And of course, if you found this video helpful, please remember to hit that like button down below and hit that subscribe button, as well as those bell notifications to be notified when upcoming videos are released. And be sure to check out my profile as well as all my other videos that I've already posted, because I've got all kinds of other tutorials that you might find helpful. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.